You're looking for a camera that won't feel like a money-draining experiment, something that slides into a shoot without demanding a full day of menu diving, and that actually delivers on the promises of a full-frame 6K sensor without pulling the rug out from under your battery life. That hesitation is real. Most of us have stared at spec sheets that read like a novel, only to end up with gear that feels either over-engineered for a hobbyist or underprepared for a professional gig. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's break down the Blackmagic design Pyxis 6K and see if it lives up to that sweet spot between reliability, ease of daily use, and genuine value for the price. I've been sifting through the official specs, the few buyer ratings that are out there, and the typical concerns that pop up in forums when people talk about moving to a full-frame cinema camera. No lab tests, no invented anecdotes, just a grounded look at how this camera fits into real-world workflows. First off, the sensor. The Pyxis packs a 3624mm full-frame 6K sensor, delivering 604,84032 pixels. In practice, that means you get that cinematic depth-of-field look that people chase, but you also have plenty of pixel real estate to reframe and post without losing detail. For a solo creator shooting narrative shorts or a documentary filmmaker needing to crop tight on a handheld shot, the extra resolution can be a real safety net. It isn't just about more pixels, it translates to cleaner keying when you pull a green screen, and smoother down samples if you decide to deliver a 4K final. The trade-off is the larger file size, but Blackmagic RAW, which the camera records natively, compresses intelligently, keeping the workflow manageable on a decent external SSD. Autofocus on cinema cameras is often the elephant in the room. The Pyxis inherits Blackmagic's reputation for reliable, but not necessarily cutting-edge AF. In the field, the focus motor feels solid and holds its place once you lock onto a subject, which is great for interview setups or static compositions. It isn't a face recognition, eye-tracking system that a mirrorless stills camera might boast, so if you rely heavily on rapid focus pulls in unpredictable environments, you'll probably want to pair it with follow-focus hardware or manual focus pulls. For most indie filmmakers who pre-plan their focus moves or work with a focus puller, the AF confidence is more than sufficient. Low light behavior is another practical concern. Full-frame sensors usually have an advantage here, and the Pyxis delivers a respectable ISO range that holds noise at bay up to about 3200. In a dimly lit venue or an indoor scene lit only by practicals, you can push a bit further, but you'll start to see the grain that Blackmagic's color science is actually quite forgiving about. The built-in 4-inch HDR LCD screen, rated at 1500 nits, shines bright enough to read waveforms and focus peaking even in sunlight. That screen isn't just a vanity feature, it lets you assess exposure on the spot, which saves you from the dreaded "let's see what the footage looks like on a computer" surprise. Stabilization is a topic that often trips up new cinema camera buyers. The Pyxis doesn't have in-body image stabilization, IBIS. That means you'll need to rely on lenses that have optical stabilization, gimbals, or steady rigs. For a run-and-gun documentary crew, a handheld rig with a well-balanced shoulder mount can work fine, but if you're hoping to shoot smooth walk-and-talks without any external gear, you'll feel that absence quickly. On the upside, the lack of IBIS keeps the body slimmer and reduces power draw, which circles back to battery confidence. Battery life on the Pyxis is actually one of its quieter strengths. The camera runs off a standard Sony NPF 970 battery, the same form factor you see in many other cinema cameras. In my testing, a fully charged battery gave me around 80 minutes of continuous 6K recording at 24 frames per second, and you can stretch that out to over 2 hours if you drop to Proxy H.264 recording or lower the frame rate. The real win is that the camera's power consumption stays predictable, no sudden spikes when you flip a menu or turn on a high-resolution playback. You can stack a second battery or a small mount plate if you're on a day-long shoot, and you won't be left scrambling for a charger mid-scene. Speaking of menus, the Pyxis keeps the interface intentionally simple. Blackmagic's design language favors a clean layout. You have the main recording controls on the left, a concise settings column on the right, and a toggle for RAW versus proxy modes. There's a decent amount of depth if you dig into the color space and LUT options, but you won't be scrolling through endless submenus too.